All right, if you were doing business in the Magnolia State, or even if you're a remote seller just reaching customers there, grabbing your Mississippi sales tax permit is absolutely your first major step toward growth. Today, we're taking all that complex, confusing legal jargon from the Department of Revenue and turning it into your ultimate, easy-to-follow roadmap.
So, are you ready to actually unlock your business's full potential in Mississippi? Dealing with state taxes can feel like this massive, overwhelming hurdle. But it's time we shift that mindset right now. From tax anxiety, straight to business opportunity.
Because here's the secret. Compliance absolutely equals growth. Getting this permit sorted isn't just about dodging penalties or, avoiding forced closures. It legally authorizes you to operate, scale up, and actually build trust with your customers. It really is the ultimate green light to accelerate your business.
Here is our roadmap for this explainer. 1. Why you need a permit. 2. Do you need to apply? 3. Gathering required documents. 4. The step-by-step application. 5. What happens after? And 6. Next steps and disclaimer.
Part 1. Why you need a permit, the key to legal sales.
Okay, so here's the deal. Mississippi has a 7% statewide base sales tax rate. While certain local cities might tack on a slight local tax, that 7% is your baseline. This permit is your official authorization to legally collect that 7% from buyers right at the point of sale and then remit it to the state. Operating without it, well, that just exposes you to massive financial liabilities, and we definitely want to avoid that.
Part 2. Do you need to apply? Understanding the rules.
So, to figure out if you actually need to apply, we have to talk about a fancy tax term called nexus. Think of nexus as the physical or economic footprint your business leaves in a state. If you have a storefront, an office, or literally even just inventory sitting in a Mississippi Amazon warehouse, you have physical nexus, and that means you must register.
But what if you're purely an out-of-state remote seller? Well, Mississippi enforces what's called an economic nexus law. Basically, if your gross sales into the state cross $250,000 over any rolling 12-month period, you trigger nexus. That's actually a very generous threshold when you compare it to states that cap it at just $100,000. It gives small remote sellers some really great runway.
Now, the rules do differ just a bit depending on your specific setup. In-state businesses have to register before making their very first sale, but they usually don't need a bond. On the flip side, if you are an out-of-state remote seller without a permanent location in Mississippi, the state might require a guarantee. This could be a sales tax bond or a cash bond equal to twice your estimated tax liability for a 6-month period.
Part 3. Gathering required documents, the preparation phase.
Trust me, gathering your info before you sit down to apply is going to make this whole process a breeze. You'll need your federal EIN or your social security number if you're a sole proprietor. You'll also need your exact legal business name, physical and mailing addresses, your NAICS code, which just classifies your business activity, owner contact details, and finally, your bank account info so you can easily remit those collected taxes later.
Part 4. The step-by-step application, navigating the TAP portal.
All right, Mississippi handles all of this through an online portal called TAP. That's the Taxpayer Access Point. Once you're on the site, you simply click Register a New Taxpayer and start plugging in those details we just gathered. A crucial tip here for remote sellers. Make sure you actually select out-of-state retailer for your location type. Review it, submit it, and you're done. And honestly, the best part? The whole application is completely free.
Now, watch out for this because it's a super common trap. A lot of businesses make the mistake of waiting too long to register. Mississippi fully expects you to register promptly the exact moment you cross that $250,000 threshold. If you delay, the state can totally come after you for back taxes, penalties, and interest for that specific gap period. So you definitely want to act fast.
Part 5. What happens after? Post-application procedures.
So let's set some realistic expectations for the timeline. After you hit submit on that TAP application, the Department of Revenue usually takes about 1 to 2 weeks to process it. Right around that 2-week mark, a physical welcome packet and your official permit should arrive in the mail. If a few weeks pass and you haven't seen anything, you can always call them directly at 601-923-7700 and just give them your confirmation number.
When that official Mississippi retail sales tax permit actually shows up, it comes with a strict legal requirement. You absolutely must display it prominently at your physical place of business. Of course, if you're a purely online seller working from a laptop, just keep it secure in your files as proof of your legal authorization.
Here's the cool thing. Once you apply, you can actually start collecting sales tax immediately. You don't even have to wait for the physical permit to arrive in the mail. Moving forward, you'll just use that TAP account to regularly file your returns and remit the taxes you've collected. And keep in mind, while this permit doesn't expire, it's on you to notify the Department of Revenue if your business address, your ownership, or your business structure ever changes.
Part 6. Next steps and disclaimer. Setting up for success.
All right, to make sure you're completely set up for success, keeping incredibly organized tax records is an absolute must. Now, interestingly enough, Mississippi doesn't actually use a formal resale certificate document. If you're buying wholesale items to resell, you literally just provide your vendor with your new Mississippi sales tax permit number to make those purchases tax exempt. Pretty easy, right? And hey, if you ever make a filing mistake, don't panic. You can easily amend returns right inside TAP.
Now, as we wrap up this explainer, I do need to mention that the information provided here is for educational purposes only. It should not be construed as formal legal or tax advice. Because, let's face it, tax laws are constantly changing, and every single business has its own unique nuances. We highly encourage you to consult with a licensed tax professional or a legal advisor to get personalized guidance tailored specifically to your exact situation. At the end of the day, your sales tax permit really isn't just a piece of paper. It is, quite literally, your passport to growth and lawful operation in Mississippi. So, armed with this roadmap, are you ready to log into TAP and take that very first step toward your business's future today? Thanks so much for joining me, and here's to your incredible success out there in the Magnolia State.